What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 5 of the Revive Yourself podcast.
Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Have you got a health issue that just won't go away no matter what you try? Then welcome to the Revive Yourself podcast, where we reveal the secrets to long-lasting health by getting to the root cause of problems that no one else is talking about. So you can have more energy, clear skin, healthier hair, a leaner physique, more confidence, and most importantly, do the things you love and live the life you deserve. Here's your host, Ryan Martin.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 3. I'm lost count here. Episode 5 of the Revive Yourself podcast. Been getting some great feedback, so I'm really glad you're all enjoying the show. As always, any comments, always send them through to me, how we can improve, etc. I'm always happy to hear them. Anyway, today's show is all about the magic powers of bone broth. And we are talking to Catherine Farrant, who is the owner and founder of Ossa Bone Broth, so that's OSSA Bone Broth, and they're actually available on Ocado if you're in the UK. They're actually also available in Planet Organic stores like this, all over. So, I mean, for those of you that haven't ever had bone broth or it's a new thing to you, it's something that I strongly suggest you get into. It's one of the most nourishing, healing foods that you can have. And especially anyone who's got gut health, it's something that I really do preach for my clients. Something, and that's why actually me and Catherine are starting to work in. We're going to start working together. I'm going to have links to her products on my site because I know that they're made from the highest quality. It's something I've always been big on. If I don't use it, I won't sell it, I won't promote it. And talking to Catherine and seeing how she works, I know this will have the highest quality. Everything's organic. So anyway, that's enough of me rambling. So without further ado, here's the interview, guys. Hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you on the other side. Today we've got a very special guest coming in from Ossa Bone Broth. It's the founder, Catherine Farrant, and you can find the bone broth at www.ossaorganic.com. And we're just going to delve into everything bone broth today, really. I think the company has been running since 2013. Is that correct, Catherine?
The idea for the company came about in 2013, that's right. And basically what happened was we went to market selling our first pouch of bone broth in August of 2015. So, yeah, we're almost a year old.
Brilliant. So before that, I actually didn't even ask you, how are you doing today?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Excellent, actually. Just kind of getting back into the swing of things after having had my second baby. So life is good. Yeah,
I was just going to say that you're a mother of two and you recently had your second child. So actually, looking at your website, if you go on the website, you actually said that you discovered bone broth during your first pregnancy in 2012, and it made a huge difference with your life and your health, and it plays a big part in your day-to-day family routine now. So for any sort of pregnant mothers out there, would it be something you'd recommend?
Absolutely. Like any mom, I was busy, independent, doing my thing before I fell pregnant, and then quickly realized that you had another life that you were kind of in charge of. So I started looking around for traditional ways that mothers used to nourish themselves that was easy, cost effective, and very beneficial to the baby and to yourself. And I suddenly came across bone broth, and obviously it's been around for ages amongst French, Italian, Japanese, South African, South American, you name it. And the more I started to read about it, the more I was like, hold on a minute. There was a whole, culture of women and families that were living off bone broth for centuries, and somehow we lost the plot, and we're now ending up with these MSG-filled stock cubes that we're calling broth or stock, and it's a disaster. So I kind of went down to the local butcher and tried my hand at making my first batch, and I was absolutely hooked. And we sailed through my pregnancy, which I know is not always the case. And, I think bone broth had a lot to do with that mindset, luck, I don't know, whatever you want to say. But I definitely felt nourished and just great for having a cup a day. And I started it then, 2012, and haven't stopped postpartum through the second pregnancy and now while I'm breastfeeding.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think you even said my skin glowed, and on the whole, I felt like superwoman. And even on the site it says now I'm pregnant with my second baby, so you've gone through that, and
Yeah.
I would definitely second Catherine there. I think bone broth is one of the most healing foods you can have. It's also, I mean, it's phenomenal for your health. So you touched on it a little bit there, which you said you're now getting these stocks filled with MSG, which people are having. They're calling broths, and people will need to be a little bit more aware of this, I think, because MSG hides in 100 different names. Even you've got some organic cubes out there that say they're MSG free, and then on it you see yeast extract. And this is something I think people have to avoid. I mean, do you was that a big thing of yours, like making your bone broth as pure as can be?
Absolutely. And I think when I started to make the bone broth, I didn't actually start with the end in mind, and which is, what you should be doing. Yeah. I didn't realize it would become a business, but I was a real stickler for doing the best that I could for me and my family. And that was about sourcing the best bones, only using filtered water, especially the fact that we live in London. Apple cider vinegar with the mother, which if you know a lot about it, you'll understand what that means, and vegetables that were organic. And I think it was at that time that I started to actually look around a little bit and go, hold on a minute, we've been totally duped since the discovery of making of these cubes filled with the MSG back in the day, I think after the Second World War and all that kind of stuff. It's all we've ever really known. And suddenly there were all these very shelf-stable chicken stocks, whether they were organic or not, just with all sorts of other funny things at the end, which before I kind of thought about the bone broth, I used to run my eye over weird-looking ingredients and think, yeah, whatever that is. And some of them are disguised in quite nice wording. But it was it was paramount that everything that Ossa brought to market, to date being the bone broth and the tallow, would be in its purest form without any additives or preservatives.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge, especially, I would say to my clients, if you can't pronounce it, then don't have it.
Totally.
Yeah, there's too much stuff. I mean, you said here, at Ossa, we believe in the restorative healing properties of premium bone broth. And the bone broth can act as a base from which to build a diet that encourages healing and restoration from modern ailments such as adrenal fatigue, stress, lackluster skin and tight joints. Is this something you've seen in quite a few people after being around bone broth quite a lot?
Absolutely. And I think if you've never tried bone broth before, just heat up a cup on the hob, not too hot, don't boil it, add a touch of pink salt. I always say, if you're brave, we put a bit of chili or whatever. And that first sip, I don't know if you can see it, Ryan, but I see people they come to my house, they take that, they look very kind of weary, take that first sip, and you can almost see it go through the body. It's like that, it's like a hug type thing. And the more I give it to my sisters, my friends, my cousins, my uncles, they all have that initial first reaction of, oh, wow, okay. And you can't really explain that, can you? And I think then over time, even if people just incorporate it in 2 or 3 times a week into their diet, they're coming back to me and saying, I feel great, my gut just feels a lot better, I've stopped the bloating, I'm not burping so much, all sorts of stuff that we thought was quite normal and actually isn't,
Yeah.
So definitely.
Yeah, no, I was going to say 100% agree with that. It's like especially with the first sort of few sips of it, it's just like, it's very comforting. It's hard to, as you say, it's hard to explain. It just feels right that your body's like, that's what I needed.
Exactly. And whether you're happy, sad, as healthy as can be, or needing a bit of kind of attention to parts of your body, it just, I don't know what, it's transformative. I can't actually say it enough.
Yeah, I know. So for people who say bone broth is quite a new thing for them, maybe not even heard of it. I mean, because it, in the natural health world, we've been in it for a long time. I mean, we do things that we have foods that people generally just don't know because they're not on the mainstream market. It's not until you go into this sort of world that you start to come across things like that. So when people are talking about bone broth, and for example, I'd say you can't get it. Well, for example, I like to. When's the best time to have it? I mean, because they'd say, "Oh, do you have it instead of a meal, or do you have it instead of like, I mean, I say start the day with it's great, have it instead of your morning coffee. Like, when do you think that the best time would be for people to have their broth?
Well, first of all, I completely agree with you. A lot of people look at me sideways when I say I make bone broth. They're like, what? And I think, sadly, it's nothing new, and it's nothing trendy, and it's nothing on key or whatever. It's been around for years and years and years, and it's something that we've just forgotten. So I'm just trying to remind people. That's the first important note to make. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm just bringing back something that's traditional and that it works. And secondly, absolutely, how do you actually drink it? And that's why we try to work very hard with an amazing designer who's helped me, called Oliver, to kind of get across an easy way to incorporate it into your diet. And if you turn around any pack of Ossa bone broth, you'll see 3 little icons on the back, which we call pan, cup, and cold. And they're just little logos that give you an idea of how quickly to use the broth. And it's easy. Pan, heat it up on the pan. Every time you're cooking, I always put a bit of bone broth on the hob and see where I can add it in. Sometimes I steam spinach in it. Sometimes I add it into mashed potatoes. Sometimes I even poach eggs in it. And just add it in where you can. The no-brainer, obviously, is soups, stews, smoothies, that kind of stuff. You wouldn't believe how mild the flavor of bone broth is in a smoothie. It doesn't come out in any way beefy or chickeny, as people might imagine. And then cup, if you're brave enough, and people are really moving towards it, with New York being kind of the market leader. Heat it up and drink it, and it is absolutely, as you know, Ryan, delicious. And I'm not saying I'm saying bone broth on the whole, whether you've made it yourself in your own kitchen, it is delicious. And by the way, at Ossa, we always say, if you can make it yourself, that's absolute first prize. But we know people are, time poor and don't have the luxury of kind of sitting for 24 hours watching bones boil. So that's why we do it for them.
Actually, yeah. And then, I was going to say, you can carry on. I was going to say, that's something I want to get into. But yeah, go on. So...
the last one is cold, which is where we encourage people to just open your mind and stop thinking of it as a beefy or a chickeny type addition, and add it into your smoothies in the morning. It's perfect. Avocado, spinach, blend it up and throw in whatever else you've got lying around, and it really does work quite well.
Thank you. No, that's awesome. I mean, as you say, look on the back of the packet and you will actually find the different ways you can actually have it. But I have it in soups, add it to quite a few blends. My favourite way is actually just to have it in a cup as a drink, as you said, but like the New Yorkers do apparently. But that's my favourite way to have it, probably in the morning. I like it especially in a nice wintered morning. I think it's nothing better, really. But I haven't thought about poaching my eggs in it. But I might give that a go.
Give it a go and add a bit of grass-fed butter, and then at the end pour the heated broth into a cup and drink that, and it's delicious.
Wow, okay.
But I'm like you. I either wake up and have it straight away, or get home from work after a long day. You're not quite ready to eat dinner. You got a few things to do, or dinner might be in an hour or whatever, and just heat it up before, and it's like nourishing. Lines the gut for whatever, if you're going to have a heavy meal, whatever, it's perfect. I love it when I get home first thing.
No, it's something that I use with my clients a lot, especially for people who've got gut issues, but especially if they've had chronic gut issues for years. I mean, I recently used it with one of my clients. She had only been able to eat 5 foods for 16 years, and put her on bone broth for a while with a few other extra little supplements, etc., that we put her on, and the results were just spectacular. So I know that the healing power is there. And so when we actually, one that I can't find, which I'm gonna say I really want to try it and I haven't yet, is your fish bone broth. It's very, very hard to find. Beef been phenomenal, chicken's been lovely, but I really want to try your fish. I haven't been able to find it. So
I'm so glad you brought that up. We are on a real fish mission at the moment, and it's something that I've kind of got at the top of my to-do list, is to re-educate people about the power of fish broth. They say, I think, and if anyone follows my Instagram at Ossa Organic, they'll know that I'm absolutely mad about Western A Price, and we very much followed their kind of guidelines for fish broth, and they say, a fish broth can do something like make childbirth that much easier. And we all know stuff like that. Just you don't just say things like that. And I think the iodine and all sorts of amazing stuff that comes out of the fish broth is so vital in our diet today, and we're not getting enough of it. We also use wild caught fish in our broth, which is important, because I'm sure you find with a lot of your clients that people are like, yeah, I eat fish 3 times a week, I eat salmon 2 times a week, whatever. But if you're eating farmed salmon, I just sometimes think it might be more detrimental. But we are desperate to get retailers to realize the potential of fish broth. And I think the disconnect comes where...
Got you. You hear me?
Hello?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You said the disconnect comes from...
Oh, sorry, yeah. The disconnect comes from the fact that people actually don't know what to do with it. So it's not as versatile in many ways as the other two, and that's caused a bit of a problem. So we've got to kind of, I guess, encourage recipes or ideas that give people, no-brainer ways as to how to incorporate it. I mean, we do a fish stew, which is up on our blog. There's a recipe there that it's just literally like throw the fish broth in, add a can of organic coconut milk, shove in some wild caught fish, a bit of calamari, whatever's going, mussels if you like, and just put it all on low, and it's just very, very, very nice.
I actually sent that recipe to my girlfriend the other day, and I said, this looks phenomenal. we need to try this.
Absolutely, yeah, it is absolutely, and it's a one-pot wonder, so you can make a ton of it, and then just keep it for a day or two going forward. But all the goodness of the fish broth is in there. And I always say, like, wherever a recipe says add 1 or 2 pouches, I always add 3, 4, and then try and reduce them down just to get the huge extra benefits of it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, what you said there, fish is something that's a bit of a conundrum at the moment with the quality of the fish. I mean, fish has always been quite a staple for healthy diets, but with what's going on with the water and the amount of heavy metals in the water, etc., it's hard to get great fish. But as you said, the quality always over quantity. If you're eating farmed fish, it's not something I'd ever recommend. They use drugs in farmed fish that people don't even know about, and it causes like these new designer drugs, and it causes a complete chemical shitstorm, for a better word, that people don't. They've never been tested, so stand away from farmed fish. I mean, everything you do is always organic. I mean, you don't, even if it says you use no additives, no MSG. It's you have no BPA in your pouches. So I mean, quality is of the utmost importance.
Absolutely. Definitely. I think I agree with you completely, and I don't know if anyone's seen my Instagram, but I found, and I don't know if you saw it, I found wild caught sockeye salmon smoked at Waitrose now that you could just pick up and eat and ready to go, and I was just like, revolutionary, thank you. And every time I'm on the go with the kids and they're stuck with something to eat, I just go, it's a go-to, and it's amazing.
Yeah, that is brilliant. I mean, because it is actually becoming harder and harder to find quality sources of fish. I mean, especially if you're shopping on Waitrose, etc. I think for a long time they didn't even. I mean, even their organic fish is organically farmed. So,
exactly, it's no good. I try to stay away from it. But they do have something called Fish Friday now, which I try and make the most of, and I'm sure a lot of the big grocery stores do it. It's like 20% off or something, and I just go in there and I buy the biggest chunk of sockeye salmon, which is not cheap, but I just think, I'm sure you tell your clients often, like, in investing in your health in the long term is like, that might be a bit more expensive now, but it beats a huge hospital bill in the long run.
Oh yeah, not just that. It's like I said, you have people. I mean, a lot of other people have said this. Like, you get people saying, "Oh my god, organic food, it's so expensive." I'm like, right, okay, but look at that Mercedes you got outside.
Yeah, exactly. Or look at what it costs to fight cancer or stuff like that, rather just prevent it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just say, I was so glad you brought up the fish broth, and I think you might say it a lot. Like, I think a lot of people's issues today stem from hormonal imbalance, and has got a lot to do with the thyroid and the hormones that are produced there, and don't quote me on any of this, but it's just from what I've learned from talking to people. And the fish broth is definitely one of the ones that has that, with the iodine in it, that like thyroid balancing type ability. And I think I think even if people just put one, cook with one pouch a week for the family or 2 pouches a week, do one fish meal a week where you're adding the broth, and you'll see a big difference.
Yeah, can't wait to try it, to be honest with you. Yeah, it will. The health benefits go far and beyond. I think with all of the broths, they've all got a place. And when you get things like adrenal fatigue or thyroid issues, it's generally a systemic issue, and food and nutrition definitely plays a part. And being able to heal the gut and make it a place that's thriving for beneficial bacteria, etc., is going to always produce good results. So, what I really wanted to ask you, you said a minute ago, if you can make it yourself, that's always best. Now, this is where a lot of people may stumble, and you said it can be quite finicky. How would you, if you could take us from start to finish, how would you make a bone broth?
All right. Well, I mean, I would say it's quite easy, but I've been doing it for like 4 or 5 years, or whatever it is, 12, 13, 4 years. What I try and do is I would go to a local butcher and try and understand the source of your meat. Now, it's easier said than done, and butchers will always say, oh, yeah, of course it's this, and of course it's that. But for ease, I would just say try and get your hands on in your opinion, what's the highest quality bones you can find, be it chicken or beef. Choose one or the other. Some people mix them together. Let's go with beef for lack of a better example. And then what I do is I put my oven on 180 or whatever, and I put the bones underneath the grill to create what we call a Maillard reaction, which is basically just brings out a lot of flavor and helps the bones boil better. That makes sense. So all you do is you leave them under the grill until they're browned and they kind of smell absolutely delicious and look amazing as well. And then what you do is literally I put it in a slow cooker, a pressure cooker that I have at home. Shove the bones in, cover them up with filtered water so that they just cover to the top. Any root vegetables that agree with you, that you eat often and you're happy with the effect they have on your system, throw them in the pot. Carrots, onions, leeks, you name it. I know onions can be a bit of kind of harsh for some people, so put them in or leave them out. And then we always add organic apple cider vinegar because it helps leach all the nutrients out of the bones. I put the lid on, I set the timer for 24 hours and go to work, go to sleep, do whatever it is. And then when it comes back, when you come back, let the broth kind of cool. The fat will rise to the top and clear that away. Keep it because it's like liquid gold. And underneath will be your bone broth.
Right. So it's easier than people think.
It actually is quite easy, and I think like any of the big kind of stores sell those kind of slow cookers where they switch off on their own. That's very helpful. I think they can be as cheap as £20, and they can do up to like 3 liters at a time. So I was using 2 of those on the go together, and then I knew that I didn't have to worry about the oven being left on or whatever. It was on a self timer. And it is messy. I will tell you one thing. My husband was like, the house smells. This house has smelled for 3 years, like cooking bones. and then also when the part of actually straining the fat away can be very finicky because it's so full of collagen and gelatin and all sorts of amazing minerals that it's goopy and sticky and greases on everything that you touch. And so I ended up buying an 80-liter stock pot. I mean, that's what I got for my birthday that year, which I was delighted about. My husband was like, okay, you've got this broth bug bad. But I got this big stock pot for my birthday, and then I got this massive like industrial sieve because it was much easier to strain through a big sieve than do it in little batches. And that's when I quite quickly realized, like, hold on a minute, this bone broth can revolutionize hospitals, prisons, all sorts of amazing places, but it's got to start in the home. But the barrier to entry is very high. You have to have a lot of patience, and you have to have a lot of time and all of that. So it's the end process that became quite difficult for me. And then, we wanted to make sure that the fat that was rendered off the top was put to good use, and then we'd end up not knowing how to store it, and it just became very difficult. So that's basically how the whole concept was born, of it being made large scale and made readily available to people.
Okay, yeah, I completely understand. That's I think one of the things. It's much easier just to go out and buy some than it is to make. in terms of time and the way you've got to be on it, especially if people are busy. So
exactly. But there is you can do, the 24-hour thing we find very important, low and slow, low and slow, low and slow. And that's why we always say when you heat it low and slow, don't use a microwave. Someone emailed me today and said, why can't I use a microwave? And I was like, look, we live in a modern world, actually, and the fact that people are using microwaves, I mean, I haven't used one in 3 years, but I think lots of people still are. But obviously, by nature of the name, microwave is small, frequent, like waves going through your food, which we think actually kills off most of the beneficial nutrients within the broth. So heat on low on a hop. But with that said, you can't, when you're at work and doing stuff like that, it's often quite tough. But just do the best that you can.
Yeah, I mean, you can have it cold. I mean, I haven't used a microwave in about 10 years, and I won't ever use one. It just destroys the cell walls of food, and body doesn't recognise it, and there's a whole host of other things I could go into, but I won't bother. So, I mean, worst comes to worst, you can always have it cold, right?
Absolutely. And, you can go up the road to the local juice bar, order yourself a juice, drink a bit down, pour a bit of bone broth in, twiddle, 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 and you've got a bit of a bone broth shake, We're trying to encourage a lot of juice stores to kind of get it in and use it as an ingredient. But there's a lot of them are doing it. A lot of high street retailers are now bringing out the concept of having bone broth on the go. But I would encourage you to ask questions, because there's bone broth and there's bone broth. And I think us as the customer, like anything and with any product, needs to be empowered. So if you're going into a high street shop that's selling it by the cup or whatever, then do just say, who makes this and where does it come from? And they're all very valid questions,
100%, yeah. You have to definitely know, as you say, the same as anything, quality over quantity, and it's the same as anything. There's steak and there's steak, and
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Whereabouts is yours? Is the bone broth made in England, in the UK? Do you ship it over?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We when I realised I was not being able to keep up with it myself, and my 80-litre stock pot wasn't doing enough, we kind of looked around for small family farms and small family businesses and people that we could trust and work with, and we found the most wonderful organic farm in Worcester. And we just phoned them up and said, look, we're talking with a couple of other people, and we just need someone who has a kitchen and who's open-minded. And in 2012, 2013, people were just like, what are you talking about? No one's going to buy it. People don't know what is this? Why are we taking such a time? But why don't we just add sunflower oil and the shelf life will triple? And I was like, if you bring sunflower oil near to me, then I had to kind of re-educate people as to the way we were thinking, because people were like, but it's such a hard way to go around. Why would you do that? And actually now we've shown that it all pays its dividends out in the end. So yeah, we manufactured on an organic farm in Worcester by the most amazing family who we kind of have come to know, and they very much listen to us and have helped us get all of our organic accreditations and make sure that everything is as best that it can be, and so that we can go out and tell you basically that if you want real food and the gold standard in real food, then you can trust the Ossa logo, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I had this the other day. Why won't you just cook it in sunflower oil, rapeseed oil? I just went out to a restaurant on Thursday, and I called ahead and made mine. I bought my own coconut oil. I was like, cook my food in that, please. I was just like, I just don't understand these people. So I don't care. Put £1 extra or £2 extra on the menu, and I'll pay for you to use a better oil.
I totally agree.
And it's
or you walk past a restaurant and you see these tons of sunflower oil vats being delivered through the back store door, and I'm just like, oh my word, we're killing ourselves.
Yeah, people don't. That's what I'm saying. That's why it was actually. I find that's why from speaking to you, I know that quality. I mean, there's no point of having a vast amount of something or selling it cheaper when people are happy to pay if it's high quality, and it's not going to... you still there? Can you hear me, Catherine? Just lost you a bit there. I think I might have just lost Catherine for a bit there. Can you hear me, Catherine? This is the fun of doing a live radio. You there, Catherine? Got you?
Can
Sort
you hear me?
Got you now, yeah. I was just saying about
Okay,
just saying about how quality, and you got these absolutely just rancid oils they're using, and people and even people saying like healthy oils. You see some of them in health shops, and I just don't understand it. But it's very so reassuring to say that you still manage to find a quality place to have your bone broth stocked and cooked, which is
we're very happy with them. We're very happy, and I think once I had that indoctrination period where I was like, this is what we believe and this is how we will do things and all that, then we have a very, very happy partnership. So that's great. And also people are learning. I think we're on the brink of a massive revolution, a massive food revolution. And I hope that in 10 years' time, everyone will be like you and I going, oh, I can't believe. I mean, I sometimes think back to as a child how I used to eat vats of popcorn done in sunflower oil, and I'm just like, oh no. But I hope that in 10 years' time, everyone will be on the same page, and it will be, a no-brainer that we don't work with oils that are, inflammatory and all that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's actually amazing that the human body can still survive a lot of these things as much as it does, but everyone's got a breaking point. And I think the reason we're seeing it is because more and more people are getting ill and thinking, well, what's happening here? And these illnesses are coming on earlier and earlier, and digestive issues especially. I mean, they're through the roof. And once you've got a digestive issue, it opens the door for everything else. And so what you're doing actually by making this bone broth in such high quality is something phenomenal for the world, really. So
thanks. No, we're absolutely thrilled to be able to do it. And on that note, I think that another thing that some people get and others don't is the cooking fat, and that's why we kind of decided, what, we're getting a lot of fat off of the tallow. We're working a lot with animal fat, and actually, off the bone broth, and actually the tallow was the next absolute no-brainer, to bring back lard and tallow into people's kitchens so that they're using stable, clean fats.
100%. I'm just about to say that actually. You'll see your tallow on there. I mean, fat's been given such a bad name back in from when Ansel Keys did his first study, and then Crisco come out talking about oils, but people are now starting to realise more and more that these essential saturated fats, and then cholesterol, etc. The body needs them to survive. I mean, they're absolutely essential to health. And and I saw your tallow. Actually, I'm going to give it a try. People just seem to throw the fat away when it's like, as you said, it's liquid gold. If you're using the right things, it's something you can store and use again yourself.
Absolutely. I'll definitely I'm going to make a note to send you some fish broth and some tallow. And the tallow, I just did a little Instagram story this morning. I mean, there is nothing that stuff can't do. I absolutely swear by it for doing your Thanksgiving and Christmas roast potatoes. To my little one had eczema or nappy rash, and nothing, none of these emollients on the market do anything, let alone moisturize. They are toxic and horrendous. And basically, when I just put a little bit of tallow with a bit of an essential oil to make it smell nice on him, and the eczema is cleared, along with gaps and a whole lot of other stuff I did for his diet, and of course bone broth. But chapped lips, elbows, skin, cuticles, all that kind of stuff. I literally have a jar in my bathroom next to my baby changing, and then I have a couple of jars in the kitchen. This morning I even went so far as to be able to fire up the kind of look of my Hunter Wellington boots, because we're spending time out in the country, and I just polished them with a little bit of tallow, and the fat kind of fed the rubber, and they came out absolutely beautiful.
Oh, it's that's amazing. I was just smiling through the whole of that. If you could see me, I was just like, when you say these things are absolutely horrendous for your skin, they're toxic, they are, and you've got something so healing, so soothing. It's got so many of these things. They're so multi-purpose. Like apple cider vinegar, it's got so many different things you can use it for.
Totally.
So you're polishing your Wellington boots of it.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. And I've mixed it with Manuka honey and literally healed wounds before my very eyes. I'm got a very allergic skin type. If I get bitten by a mosquito, I'm allergic to it basically. So a bit of Manuka honey mixed with tallow, and it was just gone. And that's after years of me buying mozzie ointment, bee ointment, all this absolute nonsense. I've saved a complete fortune on under eye creams, body lotions. I mean, I've gone so far as to mix it with shea butter, a little bit of lavender essential oil, and you suddenly have a very thick body butter. It's just unbelievable. And obviously every time we sear any meat for stews or do anything like that where we actually don't feel like a coconutty flavor of coconut oil, or we've overdone it on the butter. And trust me, in our house we go through a lot of butter.
So
then the tallow is a nice alternative.
Yeah, that's good. Have you tried it on your hair?
I haven't actually gone that far. No, I haven't.
Might be
but
interesting.
I'll have to think about that, because I'm busy working on a home remedy for it's a bentonite clay type shampoo, I guess. So I guess the conditioner version of it could be a mask with tallow. Think about it.
Interesting, because Redmond clay do a really good bentonite clay, which is fun. I mean, all these things that you can use them. I see people, for example, you go, I played football, I used to play rugby, whatever change room you're in, you see the guys, what they're bringing out afterwards. I mean, the amount of deodorant and aftershave and these moisturisers and products, I'm just like, you want to use the whole bottle? Or, I mean, like, the things they're putting under their lymph nodes and they're spraying these completely toxic chemicals. And I'm sitting there using my bentonite clay for my hair and, like, my coconut oil and whatever. They look at me like I'm mad, and I'm sitting there looking at them like they're crazy. Like,
I feel the same. And I used to use a spray-on antiperspirant deodorant, and as of the last, I'd say 4 years or something, I literally choke when I see it sprayed. And it's just, I say to people, don't that's the way we're talking now, and get shocked and get like, oh, I'm never going to catch up and I just don't know how to stutter. I think it just starts with the smallest change. And for me, it was deodorant. And one day I woke up and I was like, this is horrendous. And talcum powder, I used to put, I have a very, very blonde natural hair color, which I've been blessed, like very happy about and love. But I used to be able to put talcum powder in my hair as like a what I thought was an alternative to shelf bought dry shampoo. And then when I started reading up about talcum powder and stuff, like, it just starts with something that triggers you, and then it's just small changes. So you might not start off drinking bone broth neat every single day by the cupful. You might, make a stew once a month now with a pouch of bone broth and then go on. But I think it's just that one little thing, as you say, and then eventually you'll build up to understanding that you could use bentonite clay and coconut oil, and you can ditch whatever these Shield, whatever the brands are here. I don't even know the deodorant brands.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But it's just the first. It's like any great journey, I guess. It's just the first step that you take to empower yourself to make a change. Yeah. And the benefit, the feeling, the results are amazing.
Yeah, 100%. It is, as you say, it is an ongoing journey, and it started with, I mean, for example, I didn't get, I always say to my mate, you don't get into this because you don't wake up one morning having powder tea and then using bentonite clay and coconut oil on your skin, unless your mum and dad have been doing it. And you don't do it because you're having too much fun. It's because you generally have been ill or been through something. You go down the medical route. It doesn't work for whatever reason. I can spend an hour on that, but I won't. And then you find something else, and all of a sudden you realise, oh, okay. And then you gradually, the more and more, the deeper and deeper you go into it, it's just phenomenal. And that's where I would say with my clients, we come from a point of view of regenerating health rather than fighting disease. So we don't sit in, because a healthy body doesn't have disease.
Exactly.
And these are the things, like the foods that you're bringing in there, and the different things you said, from tallow to. I mean, I haven't used deodorant in 8 years, I don't think. I just don't use it. I never smell, unless generally it's because you smell because you've got a bacterial infection, or if you just don't wash your clothes. Otherwise,
exactly.
Otherwise, you just don't need it, in my opinion. But no, that's fine. And coming back to where can I mean, obviously you can buy it online at a few places. Where can people find your bone broth?
I think the easiest kind of answer to that is somewhere like Ocado or something, because it's most easily accessible across the UK, etc., etc. Planet Organic is another great one. You can walk into the store and get it, and they're online as well, but they're only inside of the M25, which is quite difficult for a lot of people. And then if you have a look at our stockers page on our website, there's other small health stores and stuff. But we still kind of, whilst there's an element of like it being easy to get your hands on, there's also an element of it not really, because it's a difficult sell when you're trying to say to like Whole Foods or Waitrose, this is something that you should absolutely stock, and they're like, but what is it? So I think Ocado was a massive coup, and I was so delighted that it was literally, I think my baby was like a month old, and they were like, come in and see us, and I just took him with me, and off we went, and the buyer just got it, and I was so delighted. And but I have to say, like, hats off to Planet Organic. They literally they supported us when we were they were doing a trial for bone broth, and they called us in. I kind of put feelers out, and I walked in there with literally a BPA free pouch with no label or nothing, and I just brewed some bone broth the night before, and we drank it, and there was a bit left over, and I took it to them, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, like, it's just me, and this is what I want my business to be, and this is what it's going to be about, and this is the flavor, and this is the quality, and this is my bone broth. And they put us on the shelf 6 weeks later based on that, because I think they believed in the greater kind of picture, and I will be eternally grateful to them.
Yeah, no, I think just talking to the passion for it, that's what you're going to see, the passion for it, yeah, and the quality's there. And even if you get bigger, I mean, I'm pretty sure the person you are, you're going to remain with that quality product. Yeah, for me, I'd say, I think we spoke a little bit about it before, but I think maybe getting something where I can have have it on my site, maybe so it makes it easy for my clients to get it, or work in some way that we can make it accessible for people, just be able to click on it, because I fully and wholeheartedly believe in bone broth, and especially your product. So it'd be great if we can get something going as well where people can
absolutely, yeah. And we always open to. Sorry. Is that me? Sorry. I'm like, do I have another phone? I do. Let me just turn it off. Sorry. We are wholeheartedly open to working with people, and I often get people just out of the blue saying, I need 40 or 80 or 100, or can you ship them? Can you courier them to me this week or whatever? So just ask away, and I'll be very happy to help.
Yeah.
So yeah, we like, we're just people. So just ask, and you shall receive.
Yeah, that's the great thing though about being in, say, this at the moment, is because it is very personal. You go to a big company, and generally it takes, I mean, it can do. It's like to try and talk to someone who actually runs the business or the side of things or the logistics. It can be a nightmare to try and get hold of someone. Whereas I think it's, for me, very busy, as you can see, Catherine.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I know. For me, it was just, I think. We found each other through Instagram, and it was just messaged back and forth, and it was just very personal, and that's something that people, I think it's been missing for a long time. But more and more of the quality health brands are getting that personal touch back, which I think people really value. So yeah, brilliant.
Excellent, yeah, and just feel free to kind of, I think Instagram is literally absolutely amazing, and Twitter and all these things, because you can just talk to anyone, and I encourage that. So please, just get in touch, say hi, say whatever, and I think we need to start asking questions, start talking to each other, start breaking down these big business things, and start like getting real brands and real food products to back into our communities and stuff, and that just starts with asking the question. So yeah, fire away.
Yeah, that's awesome. Catherine, what I'm going to do, actually, if you just hold the line there, I'm just going to end the show, and then I'll just get back to you. So what I'm going to say is, guys, if you want a bone broth, I mean, as I said before, I'm going to try and get something put through our site, so it's easy for you to get to. Otherwise, you can just go to www.ossa organic.com and order it there, or through Ocado. And I think it's something that everyone should definitely have in their diet. So there you go, guys. That was episode 5 with Catherine Farrant. Sure, you learnt quite a lot there about bone broth, and her story is really interesting, which is always good to hear people's stories, how they got into what they do, because generally I know it's the same with me. I had to scratch my own itch. When you have some problems, or when you go through struggles, then you have to find, and then things, the traditional ways, conventional ways aren't working, you have to find your own path, and you have to find ways that work for you. So it's really interesting. I hope you learned a lot, and as I said before, go on over to www.ossa to grab your bone broth. And also, I'm going to have it on my site anyway, so you can head on over to www.reviveyourself.co, and it's going to be on the resources very soon if it's not on there already. And as I always say, guys, head on over to the site www.reviveyourself.co for any articles relating to health. We've got quite a lot on there. So if you are struggling, you can also contact me and get in touch, and we can discuss how we can help you. Which I know, having been in a place of struggle myself before, it was always huge for me to be able to actually talk to someone who's been through their own struggles, rather than just someone who's just talking to me from textbooks. So anyway, guys, that was episode 5. I hope you enjoyed it. Really looking forward to episode 6. Got some really interesting guests coming up, especially Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, a world-leading authority on vaccinations, and Dr. Joel Kahn, all about cardiovascular health, heart health. So that's what's coming up. And as always, guys, stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll speak to you soon.
If you're struggling with gut issues, such as gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, indigestion, heartburn, and want to finally be able to eat the foods you love without the crippling after effects, then don't forget to head over to reviveyourself.co and pick up your free copy of The Healing Health Paradigm today.